This Manchester City team is a cheat code, literally a cheat code. Watching them play yesterday was ridiculous. They went out and scored 4 goals against Real Madrid. Now, Real Madrid did not show up yesterday, let's be clear on that. Their midfield was completely absent. I think age has finally played a factor for Modric and Toni Kroos. I'm not sure what their future is, but take nothing away from what Manchester City did yesterday. They were controlling and dominating this entire match. It could have been more goals, but thanks to Courtois, he did have some massive saves early in this game against Erling Haaland. Had he not saved those, I think this game would have been blown out of proportion. But let's talk about Manchester City and why they're such a cheat code. Because when you look at this squad, you look at the starting 11, if you look throughout the entire world of football, there are not many players that fit into this team already. The starting 11 for Manchester City right now is top notch. You could argue maybe 1 or 2 players would get into this club right now and start over some players. But the way this team has been performing, Erling Haaland smashing records through the Premier League this entire season and probably going to break more records with years to come with this club because this is only his first year. And as they get more and more time at this club, they're going to keep gelling and it's going to be scary. On top of that, Kevin De Bruyne, probably the best midfielder right now in the entire world. I don't care what you say. The guy can play a pass on an accuracy that is such precise that, again, it's difficult for defenders to even do anything about because when he plays those balls perfectly to Haaland or, again, out to the sides, and he can even dribble, it's difficult for any team to know what to do because if you're watching Haaland run, you got to chase him. If you're watching Kevin De Bruyne dribble, you got to defend him. So many options between those two players. On top of that, then you have Jack Grealish on the left. You have Bernardo Silva on the right, and he had a phenomenal game yesterday against Real Madrid. Again, it's just so difficult for teams to know how to defend against this, and we've seen this in the Premier League. They've gone on a rapid win streak, and they are going to most likely win the league itself this year, even after Arsenal had a phenomenal season this year. I know people are talking about that they bottled it, but really, the way Manchester City's been playing, it would be difficult for any team to keep up with that pace. And Pep Guardiola obviously is a serial winner, knows how to get the best of his players, and he gets all these players just gelling the way he needs to, and he can even move these players around on the pitch. We've seen it with the John Stones. Having a CB move into almost a CDM position is ridiculous. I don't think any other manager in the entire world would have been able to do that or even think about that. And the fact that Pep Guardiola saw that and now has changed the game once again, it's very difficult for teams to even try to compete with him, especially with Manchester City. Along all those lines, their defensive line is ridiculously good. They don't let up many goals, even in the Premier League season itself, and even in the Champions League. Real Madrid only scored 1 goal against them. They also thrashed Bayern Munich. And again, this team is scary. Now, going into the final itself, they are playing Inter Milan. Now, anything can happen on a final. We've seen this before, especially with the Liverpool AC Milan game where they were up 3-0, came back and won a PK shootout. Chelsea beating them in the final 3 years ago. But again, anything can happen on this final, and it's going to be difficult for Inter Milan. Let's be frank here, because the way Pep Guardiola is going to set up this club and this team for that final is going to be very, very difficult for Inter Milan to defend against because, like I said earlier, they have all these players that can definitely attack, and if they all are fully fit, they have 2 more games left in the season itself to win the title. They also have their FA Cup match against Manchester United, but besides that, they only have the final left for the Champions League, so most likely this team's going to be fully fit. And therefore, again, Inter Milan, their probably best bet is to play maybe more defensively and hit them on the counterattack, even though, again, that may not be their entire style and they may come up with different tactics. But even if they do that, Pep Guardiola is almost like a grandmaster chess player when it comes to managers. The guy already sees like 6-7 moves ahead what everyone else is already doing, and therefore Inter Milan come out and play a defensive role. I'm guaranteeing that Pep Guardiola already has tactics to already figure this out and maybe make some changes to break down that defense and score goals, because if they're able to score a goal early in this game, they are going to dictate the entire momentum throughout that time. Inter Milan are obviously going to be chasing the rest of the game, and therefore they're going to be open and expanding, creating all these open chances for Manchester City to come back in and score even more goals. And once this game really gets out of hand for Inter Milan, there's no coming back, which we just saw with Real Madrid, because we've seen Real Madrid come back multiple times last year, but there was no way they were coming back from this match yesterday. And I think the same thing is going to happen for Inter Milan. So That being said, I have a feeling, and I know a lot of people have talked about this, that the treble is pretty much almost a guarantee. Now, again, a lot of things can still happen. They could lose to Manchester United in the FA Cup. They could obviously lose to Inter Milan. And they could even slip up in the Premier League, though very, very unlikely. But the fact is that this team is ridiculously good. And not just the starting 11, the bench players that come off. You're looking at Phil Foden coming on to the squad after so many minutes. You're looking at Alvarez coming on, another great striker who probably would start at any other club. But the fact that he's behind Haaland, he cannot start. But even when he comes on, he scores goals as well, which you're showing how important this system is for strikers. That, again, you can almost slot anyone into that position and they score goals. On top of that, they have other midfielders that they can swap out as well. We see this all the time. And again, their defense, we've even seen Ake get injured. Akanji stepped up. Kyle Walker's now stepped back up as well, along with Diaz. So again, this team is very, very fluid, that we can interact with different players and still get this machine going in the right direction, which again, as a non-Manchester City fan, this is scary for the next couple of seasons, because we all know Pep Guardiola is most likely going to go out this summer and tinker around and bring maybe one or two extra players in to really, again, upgrade this team, which, again, is head and shoulders above all the other teams in the league itself and even in the Champions League. Because, like I said, they've been pretty much dominating this entire season. And even last year, I think they were a bit unfortunate when they lost to Real Madrid. So the fact is, Pep Guardiola, you gotta applaud the guy. What he's done so far with this team at Manchester City, yes, you could say they've invested a lot of money, but still, we've seen clubs invest a lot of money, like Chelsea this season, and nothing happened. The fact that Pep Guardiola can get this money, get the right players, and get them implemented in the system and get wins and results quickly, again, speaks volume for this manager. So, that being said, my prediction, again, for the Champions League, we may do another in-depth video for that with all the players themselves, but the fact is, I think Manchester City clearly win this game over Inter Milan. I don't think there's really a chance. I think that's what most people are thinking. Again, there's probably like a 1 or 2% chance that Inter Milan win, but overall, I think Manchester City win this game clearly 3-0, maybe 3-1, but even Ederson, again, great goalkeeper, doesn't let many goals, so again, I can't see Inter Milan really challenging for that finale, but we will play the match and we will see what happens, and therefore, again, that's why we play the game, because anything can happen. So, that being said, that is why Manchester City is a cheat code. I want to know what you guys think. If you think that is true, if you do agree with that, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe down below. I greatly appreciate that, and I will see you in our next video.